Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Tip Balls Podcast. My name is Zolo. I'm back in the hosting chair just for one quick session, And to my right, way down there in his Motor City Lions attire, we have the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
You can't really see him right now, but you can hear him. Say something, Sam.
Hello.
Well, there he is, live from Mackinac. We're having a little troubleshooting issues on the video, but that's Sam. He will be here, even though you can't see him. And, of course, as always, behind the decks on the ones and twos, the one and only
Dumbass is behind the desk.
Bruce the Tugboat Venditti. He hasn't taken his edible yet, but we'll get him there, folks. We'll get him.
What the
I like how I'm just this godlike figure, just a voice coming down, floating around in the metaverse.
It's stupid.
They always used to tell me that I have a voice for radio, or I have a face for radio. Have you ever heard that phrase before?
I have.
Yeah, well,
I have.
I think your face is more than worthy to be on here. It just can't make it today. It just couldn't make the appearance, which is fine.
Taking the
Some
day
stupid
off.
picture of him that we can put in.
Yeah, right.
Can you do that?
And make it grow.
Put
Like
some
we'll add
stupid
water
picture
to it
of
every
him
time
on
it
there that
talks.
says on the phone with.
I can try.
Well,
You can do that.
Don't
but-
try and challenge him too much today.
there was football last night, and I have a hot take for you guys on the football. My power rankings for coaches that need to be fired list changed dramatically last night. And I have a new, honestly, he might even be number one after last night. It's Ron Rivera. I think Ron Rivera should totally be on the hot seat for the way the Commanders have just crashed over the last 3 weeks. Nothing more prominent than last night. In case you missed it, the Bears. Uncle Sam, you and I were onto this. I didn't say they'd win. Did you say they'd win outright? You and I said they'd cover the 5.5.
Yeah, I thought they would cover.
I thought they'd cover too. The Bears dismantled the Washington Commanders 40-20. A little bit of garbage time action at the end there. But Justin Fields had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and then DJ Moore popped off like crazy last night. Moore had 8 receptions for 230 yards and 3 TDs. There's a garbage time one at the end. But the big story was the Bears coming out. Well, number one, the big story is Dick Butkus died. So they were channeling the spirit of one of the most famous players in Bears history. So he died. They announced it about an hour or two before the game. But the big story there was the Bears offense. They came out to the same lead the Lions had the week before at halftime, which is 27-3. And the Commanders ended up inching back. Sam Howell actually played a decent game.
They had a few balls that kind of didn't bounce their way. They could have been back into this game. They were within 7 at one point.
They were within. They were within. They were within.
10.
Was it 7? They were within 10.
Oh, they were within 7.
It was 30-20. It was 30-20. And this is
They
why I
missed the
think
field goal. I'm sorry.
this is
You were
why I
right.
think Ron Rivera needs to be fired. And I'm going to tell you why. So you're down 27-3 at half. They get the ball back. They score and go for 2 and convert. All of a sudden, it's 27-11. It took him a second because Logan Thomas fumbled the ball, and Logan Thomas had a great game, by the way. He had 9 for 77 and a TD. They get the ball back after the Logan Thomas fumble, still down 27-11. They drive the field, and tell me if you could. Sam, did you watch the game too?
I did. I watched the whole game.
Tell me if you remember this play. There was a 3rd and long in the red zone, and Sam Howell had this insane scramble for like 10 yards. He kept himself up. He cut it to the inside, and he got down 3 yards short of the sticks at the
4th and
14 or
3.
15-yard lines to make it 4th and 3. Do you guys remember that play? Do you know what
Without
Ron
question.
Rivera did?
Kicked a fucking field goal and Joey
Kicked a
sliding it.
field goal. Down 16 points with 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. He kicked a field goal. Number one, he needs to lose the Riverboat Ron moniker just on that play alone. We need to pull that away. He is no longer Riverboat Ron. That was bullshit. How do you expect your players to play hard for you if you're doing shit like that? If you're not playing to win games and you're just playing to keep it close, okay? Number one. Number two, have you guys ever heard of something called hold on, I have the exact name of it right here. It's a new stat. It is called it's like the Coward Index or something like that. I don't know the exact name of it, but in-game decision-making can affect everything, the game flow, how things change. and there's certain percentages of times to do things and when you shouldn't do things. The surrender index, the surrender index. So the surrender index was so high on that play for Ron Rivera, they basically choked the game away, And it's to the point where it leads to bad karma down the road. And you guys might not believe in this, but they had bad football karma when they went to kick the field goal again with 6 minutes to go, and they missed it. The game was already over when you blew the 4th and 3. Okay, because you spotted them a 10-point lead and they were able to maintain it. And it was 16 at the time. They eventually got another touchdown. But what are we doing, Ron Rivera? And
my jaw dropped when it was 4th and 3.
So did mine. That's when the game ended. The game ended in the third quarter when he didn't go for it on 4th and 3. Their entire ownership group, Josh Harris, who just bought the team, has been there every game. Magic Johnson had one of his dumb tweets last night, but he was unhappy. And if you're watching that, what are you thinking? Like, why would you want to keep this guy as the head coach when he's not playing to win games? Go ahead, Sam.
I agree with you 100%. That 4th and 3, I thought, okay, for sure. You have to remember, Chicago didn't have a running back. They were running their fullback as their starting running back, and they were getting decimated with injuries. I don't even know how many people they lost last night, but they were decimated with injuries, and that had all the makings. When I was sitting there and the Commanders scored, they get the ball back. It was 4th and 3. I was like, okay, if you're Ron Rivera, you're going for this here. You're scoring a touchdown. And then they're right back. This game is you're in a one possession game now with the Bears' entire team going down for injury. They have no running back left. It had all the makings of the Bears repeating what they did last week in the debacle loss to Denver. As soon as right when he sent the field goal unit out there, I knew all the air is going to be taken out of this Commanders offense. If he would have went for it on that 4th and 3, all right, and they would have converted that, I think that Washington would have won that game.
So on top of that, I was weirded out. I don't think the announcer said anything. I didn't hear anything from Al Michaels or Herb Street. Number one. Number two, why would you come out when you score the touchdown at the beginning of the second half? Why would you even go for 2 if you were just going to kick the field goal later? That's just inconsistent. That's why we're lucky to have Dan Campbell, who does make the right decision, I think, in those situations.
Dan Campbell.
Uncle Sam, what are your thoughts? You grew up watching those 85 Bears.
The 85 Bears were one of the greatest teams ever play.
God bless Dick Butkus.
Rivera was part of that team. So
that's why I ask.
It's not like the guy doesn't know how to win. The guy knows how to win. He's been there as a coach. He's been there as a player. So, as far as what happened last night, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Eric Bieniemy needs to hold a little accountability for that too. I really do. You know what? He's, Sam Howell didn't have a bad game. He threw for over 300 yards. But the turnovers destroyed them, and they were in bad moments. It just, you know what? He should have went for it. I agree with that. I don't think he should have fucking played it safe. I don't think he should play it safe, try to kick a field goal, and then miss it. I mean, that just took the air right out of them. They were done right after that. When they missed that field goal, that was it. It was game over.
I don't watch very many Commanders games, but I could be wrong about this, but did anybody else hear them chanting, "Let's go Redskins"?
No.
That's because they want to change the name back to Redskins. The fucking fans want the name back.
The only thing I heard was "Let's go Bears." I heard a lot of "Let's go Bears" chants coming.
At the end, but I thought I heard some "Let's go Redskins" there for a second, but could be wrong.
The one other thing I wanted to bring up, if you look at the rushing stats for Washington last night, they had 29 total rushing yards, and I'll say this. Washington's offensive line, Chicago's offensive line is decimated with injury, but Washington's offensive line, that was an absolutely, I thought it was an atrocious. That
was a horrible showing.
Atrocious job from Washington's offensive line. They couldn't establish any sort of run. And, on that last DJ Moore touchdown, I mean, Kendall Fuller just completely sold out to try and tip that ball. And you can't really blame him. But, I mean, Washington was so close to doing what the Broncos did to them last week. If
their secondary was awful last night.
Yeah,
Awful.
yeah. Real quick on the
They weren't
secondary.
tackling. They were fucking garbage.
On the
last
secondary,
night.
that's why they lost. Because DJ Moore's a good receiver. He's not that good. He's
No.
not whatever was it, 300 yard or whatever it was. He's
8 for 230 and 3
230
tugs.
and three
Yeah,
TDs.
he looked like fucking Mike Evans last night. Are you kidding me?
So no matter what they did too, like that's when the game was 10-0 in the first quarter, and that's when the game got out of hand. Is with DJ Moore just lighting them up at the beginning of the game. The game was pretty much over there, and again, that's Jack Del Rio had no idea what he was doing. He made great adjustments in the second half. I thought their defense played great in the second half, but yeah, their secondary wasn't ready. That's the second bad game in a row from Emmanuel Forbes, their rookie, who had been pretty good the first couple weeks, and Benjamin St-Juste, who's been kind of stout for them the last couple years. Same drill. They just kind of choked it away, and that Bears receiving core isn't good enough. Cole Kmet had another big game. Just all around bad. Real quick, two things, Uncle Sam. I have two questions. Number one, do you have anything to say about Dick Butkus? And number two, let's just have a brief conversation on Justin Fields, because we can't let it go unrecognized that he's 8 TDs and 1 interception over the last 2 weeks. He was 4 TDs yesterday. I mean, that was arguably his best game as a pro. First Butkus, then go to Justin Fields.
Dick Butkus, probably greatest middle linebacker ever to play the game. I don't think so, but probably. A lot of people would say he was the greatest.
I don't think
I
so.
think it was Ray Lewis, but I just, a guy that he was a pillar in that Chicago community, man. Everybody respected Dick Butkus. There's nobody out there that would say that he was a good man as well as being a great NFL player. And he's to this day, he was a catalyst there in Chicago. People love the guy. R.I.P. R.I.P. Another one's gone.
And
another great player is gone.
What'd you think of Justin Fields yesterday?
I thought Justin Fields looked like he did last year. If you remember, he started out last year, he was utter dog shit, just like he did this year. And now, miraculously, in the last 2 games, now I don't know if the opponent has something to do with that. He's remembered how to play football again.
I'm happy you said the opponent, because listen, if you're going 8 TDs and 1 interception over a 2-game streak, someone in one of my group chats last night, I don't care who it's against, that matters. I partially agree, because I think he's making the right reads. I think you said something earlier. He's been getting crushed, and I think he's on pace to get destroyed at some point with the way he's running the ball.
He was taking a lot of unnecessary hits last night. He took at least 4 hits I seen that he did not need to do. And I don't know what Eberflus is thinking over there. I like his little option with him as a runner, but you know what? At this point, why would you subject this guy to any more beatings?
Real quick, Sam, before I turn it over to you, it goes back to that. It's been fun to watch. Fields has been fun to watch. I'm a Fields hater, and he's been fun to watch the last 2 games. But the running the ball thing only works so well when you have to play from behind. They barely played from behind last week. They didn't play from behind at all yesterday, and credit to them. And I do think the opponents matter, because we're talking about last week they played a Denver team that had given up 70 the week before, and that's defense has been getting gashed. So, yeah, the 28 was great, but I want to see it against better opponents. And then the Commanders, same drill. They gave up 37 last week to the Eagles. They gave up 40-plus to the Bills the week before that. So I need to see it against non-inferior opponents, and more importantly, I want to see how Fields plays from behind. It's been my argument from day one with him. If he has to play from behind and push the ball downfield, it's going to be a disaster. He didn't have to do that yesterday. He didn't have to do that the week before, essentially, either. And therefore, I think he's playing pretty well, and good for him. Good after the start that they had, and people calling for his head, and we called for Caleb Williams as recently as 2 days ago. Good for Fields to bounce back. I would like to see it against better opponents, though, before I buy in. You got any thoughts on that, Sam, before we move on?
Yeah, so this is last night is why I guess, my off-season Justin Fields for MVP thing, that's why I was so firm on it, because if he could string together, 14 games of work that looked like that, then yeah, we're talking about somebody who's playing probably at an MVP caliber level. I don't think we're going to see that, especially this year. I don't think there's going to be any miraculous, comeback out of Chicago. But I'll say this much. their games from now until Thanksgiving, if you look at it, they have Minnesota twice, Vegas, the Chargers, New Orleans, Carolina, and then Detroit one time. If Justin Fields really doesn't have to go outside of, I would say, New Orleans, maybe, and Detroit, he's not really going up against a stout defense. Like they played Tampa week 1, Kansas City week 2. Outside of Detroit and maybe New Orleans, those are the 2 best defenses he faced from now until December. They're gonna win a couple games in there if he can continue to play the way he did last night. So I think the Caleb Williams sweepstakes thing is kind of out at the moment, unless there's a huge debacle and he reverts back to the way he looked week 1 and 2. They're going to win a few games going forward this next couple of weeks.
Yeah, but those teams you just mentioned, maybe the story would be the secondaries that he'll be going up against. Minnesota, you say what you want to say, they still have a ball-hawking secondary that will give him fits if he tries to do what he did last night.
Yeah, I think on that list of teams that you named, I just think that there's a lot better defenses than the Commanders and the
Commanders front is everything what we expected.
Yeah,
they're very good.
So
the problem is the back end's not playing with the front end, and that's coaching. That's Jack Del Rio.
As a Lions fan, I'd really love a crack. Like they've been linked to a lot of DNs as of late. Like I'm starting to hear Max Crosby's name. It would be very difficult to make that happen. Amongst some other players, but one of the names that really stands out, and we talked about it the other day, is Chase Young, who's looking decent right now, and I would love the Lions take a crack at Chase Young. You buy low, see if you can get him for a 5th or a 4th round pick, and you just keep him for the season, and that gives you the pass rushing help. That being said, on the Lions front, I'm jumping way ahead. You're getting Okwara
back. I wouldn't even mind taking a 3rd round pick for him. You got
if you're spending a 3rd, you have to make sure you're signing him at that point, which they didn't pick up his option, so he's a free agent after this year. Right. The Lions, Josh Pascal might be scheduled to come off IR next week, so that's a whole other thing. Let's move on. Let's get into some picks, if you guys don't mind. Can we wrap? Are we good with Chicago and Washington? Can we wrap up?
We're good.
Yep.
Okay. Let's start in London. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars. London's own Jacksonville Jaguars. They are the road team, actually, this time, and they're going against the 3-1 Buffalo Bills, and what some might have thought in preseason could be a playoff preview. Jacksonville is getting 5.5 points. The over-under is 48.5. Sam, what do you think?
Okay, right off the rip, the big glaring thing here for me was that over-under. I expected this to be a 50-pointer. I think Jacksonville's offense started to click a little bit last week. Not to the caliber that we expected, but they got it together a little bit. I think that they're going to – I mean, you have Tre'Davious White out for the year. Greg Rosenau is going to be out this weekend, and they don't think Von Miller is going to play this week at this point. So Buffalo's defense
He's making the trip.
He's making the trip.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean he's going to play. So Buffalo's defense, I'd say, a little weaker than full strength, and I think Jacksonville should be able to. Jacksonville has to get their run game together to open things up in the passing game. I think Jacksonville's offense will look better than they did last week, but still not to that 100%. But the way Buffalo looked last week against the Jacksonville defense that hasn't really impressed me much this year, I think the over in this game is bound to happen. Buffalo giving 5. I'm going to take Buffalo in this game. I think Buffalo will win this by a touchdown. And just because I haven't seen what I've wanted to see from Jacksonville yet. And I don't think against Buffalo, as hot as Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs looked last week, I don't think that they're going to get completely over the hump. So I'm going to take Buffalo minus 5.5 in the over in this game.
Uncle Sam?
I want to take Jacksonville in this game. I'm going to take Jacksonville in the over.
Why?
I think they're due. They played a really good game last week. They were solid on both sides of the ball. I think they're due.
Wow,
That's a
I'm
brief
really
answer.
compared to you guys, I'm extremely low on Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen it. I didn't think they looked that great last week against a pretty bad team. I didn't see it come together like everyone else. I thought if it wasn't Desmond Ritter at quarterback, that Atlanta would have made it a game in the second half. Um, and I still buy into those little. I think the London thing brings out the unders. I think teams play poorly in London for
Well,
whatever
eventually
reason.
Jacksonville will be there, so that's why I'm taking Jacksonville in this game.
Um,
Jacksonville will be a London-based team.
I'm going Buffalo. I think they win outright. I think they cover the -5.5, and I actually like the under in this one. I could see them pulling out the 30-10 type ordeal, or 30-17, even something like that. Moving on, let's go to one of our favorite stories this year, but it takes place in Atlanta, Georgia. We have the Houston Texans going up against the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Like I said, Houston is getting 1.5. The over-under is 41.5. Sam.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's recency bias or if CJ Stroud is that good, but Houston's been on fire. Their offense has been scoring at will, and let's just be real. The last 2 games Atlanta has played, they've gotten torched. So the offense has kind of been impotent as well. What does Atlanta have in the last 2 games? 12 points in the last 2 games?
They have
13
Doo-Doo and
points.
Dookie in the last 2 games.
Yeah, 13 points in the last 2 games. I think Houston's defense a little bit better than everybody expected them to be, and obviously the offense is playing out of their minds right now. I'm going to take Houston to cover and win this game, and I'm going to shock everybody. I'm going to take the over in this. I think Atlanta has to find a way to manufacture some more offensive points, and Houston has pretty much. I mean, they're lighting everybody up at the moment. So even in losses, they're scoring a lot of points. So I'm going to take Houston, and I'm going to take the over in this one.
Uncle Sam.
I agree. I'm going to take Houston in the over. The only thing that scares me about the over is Atlanta. Can they put points on the board?
Yeah.
That's the only thing that scares me.
I'm with you completely on that front. I'm also going to go Houston in the over. But I think this is an ordeal where it's not going to be as close as that. I don't know how Houston's getting 1.5. I think the difference in this game is the Texans' defense, which has been stout, and they have a defensive-minded coach, and it's gotten better every week. It's the Texans' defense versus the really lackluster Falcon offense, which is Desmond Ritter. The experiment's only going to last so long, and I just think that Houston does a lot of damage.
We see Taylor Heineke make his
maybe
appearance in this game?
Maybe, because a home crowd can boo their way into a result. So yeah, I think that there's a small chance we get Heineke in this one. Let's move on. Let's go to Indianapolis. We have a division matchup here. The Tennessee Titans are -2.5 in Indianapolis, and the over-under is 43 in this one. Uncle Sam?
Well, I mean, I like Indy in this game. I'm going to take Indy in this game. I'm going to take Indy, and I'm going to take the under.
Go ahead. Why?
I feel Indianapolis right now, if Richardson can stay in this game and not get hurt, I believe they could actually win this game pretty easy because they generate a little more offense than Tennessee does.
And Jonathan Taylor's slated to play, too, for the record.
Well, we'll see if that happens. If he plays, then I'm going to still take the under.
Sam?
So I'm going to agree with Uncle Sam here. I'm going to take Indy and the under in this game. Tennessee's 2-2. I think they're one of the worst 2-2 teams that there are out there right now. Their defense is playing okay at best, I would say. They're 8th in points against per game. So the problem is these Tennessee games, they just don't seem to get a lot of points going. I like the way Anthony Richardson's playing. If Jonathan Taylor plays, that adds a huge, huge aspect of this offense. And at the end of the day, Tennessee's been extremely inconsistent on the offensive side of the ball. Ryan Tannehill, yeah, he's having probably his best start ever, but that doesn't really mean much. Derrick Henry has not been there. He's averaging 3.8 yards per carry. That's not really something to write home about. For example, he has 5 more total rushing yards on the year than Zach Moss for the Indianapolis Colts. So I just don't think it's there for Tennessee yet. I think those 2 wins are extremely fluky for them. I know they blew Cincinnati out, but it seems like everybody's going to blow Cincinnati out right now. And I never ever trust Ryan Tannehill. Never ever trust Ryan Tannehill. Give me Indy in the under.
I just like to watch the world burn. So just to give a little devil's advocacy in here and a little contrarian action, I'm going to go with the Titans. I like what they did last week. And listen, I know it's the Bengals and there's not much to write home about there, but I could see the under having no issues on that one. I could see no issues with the under. I just don't think that the Titans front is going to allow Richardson to do that much damage. Colts are going to have some good juju at home. Jonathan Taylor's coming back, and Richardson's getting healthier. Thought what Richardson did last week was great, but I don't trust Tannehill. I'm with you. I do trust Vrabel in a matchup like this. So I think the Titans cover that by a field goal, and I also like the under. Moving on, we're back into Dolphins territory. Man, this is a chance to get out of hand really quick based on what we know. The Giants are plus 12.5 in Miami, over under 47.5. Sam?
Go to Sal. We're having some technical difficulties.
Oh, we're having some technical difficulties. Jesus, that Mackinac internet always after us. Uncle Sam, Giants getting 12.5, which is a huge number. Miami is at home, and the over-under is 47.5.
If you see a game with the effort that they put toward last week, I got a feeling that Miami will cover this easily. They'll cover easily. They should. The Giants didn't show me anything last week. Daniel Jones was running for his life. Their offensive line is horrible, and they're on the road. Here's the thing. Brian Daboll is a good coach. He might find a way to get these guys up to par to play to cover this. Not to win, but to cover it.
Oh
I took them last week to cover, and they got smoked. So I don't feel confident in them right now. So I'm going to take Miami, and I'm going to take the under because I think they're going to score all the points.
Sam, Giants are getting 12.5 in Miami, over under 47.5.
Like I said the other day, good thing Diane Feinstein left that space in the retirement home so they can put Uncle Sam's senile ass in there, because there's absolutely no way the Giants are going to cover in this game.
I just said they're not.
You just got done saying Brian Daboll's gonna find a way to will them into a cover.
But I said that's what he did try to do last week and got smoked. So I took Miami in the under.
You're taking Miami to cover the 12.5.
I'm taking Miami to beat them by 12.5. Yes.
Wow. See, I didn't catch that. I apologize. So no, you're not as senile as I thought. So we had a little technical difficulty, so I missed a couple.
Good excuse. Good recovery there. That's a great recovery.
Feinstein comment. Okay.
What did you say?
Everybody knows she was a body bag for the last 2 years.
It's weekend at Bernie's.
Anyways, so no, the Giants. I'm ready to put the Giants in the. Giants are in petrified dog shit at the moment. There's nothing there to like. Give me Miami all the way. And you know what? Miami got their ego punched a little bit last week, as well as their bunghole by Buffalo. So I think Miami's going to bounce back and have a Miami.
They came out flat last week. I don't give a shit what anybody says. That last week was an anomaly.
Correct. It's exactly what I'm saying. They're going to come out this week and they're gonna lay a dicking on the Giants. Give me the over because Miami will probably hit it by themselves.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Miami covers the 12.5 and the over. It just feels like it's short rest for the Giants. They got to travel down south. Um,
After coming off a debacle.
not a lot of adjustments can be made to a team like that in 6 days, and it just feels like we haven't seen anything. Who knows? Maybe the offense does a little bit more, but I think Miami soundly covers by the 2 touchdowns, and I think that the over is pretty safe in that one as well. Moving on to Foxborough, where we have the Patriots taking on the Saints. The Saints are 1-point favorites, so the Patriots are getting a point with an over-under of 39.5. This is a complete dumpster fire, in my opinion. I don't know if there's a game that I'm looking at right now that I want to watch less than this one. I have zero interest in this one. Sam?
This one for me is pretty easy. I agree with you. There's no game I'd rather watch less than this. I gotta go New Orleans here. There's nothing. There was not one single redeeming quality outside of a couple plays from Bailey Zappi last week for New England. They just keep losing players to injury. Mac Jones right now takes the Flaccid Penis of the Year award. It's New Orleans defense. I just think New Orleans defense is good enough to make Mac Jones look like absolute dog shit this week. I don't think that New England really has an answer. I don't really think for the first time in a long time Belichick has he doesn't really have an out here. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, he benches Mac Jones last week. His comments were, "Oh, there was no reason to keep him in the game." At the end of the day, there's no reason to keep him in the game because he played so fucking bad that you took that the game was out of reach. I think that New Orleans is going to make easy work of this. I'm going to take the under. I don't think either of these teams are going to score a ton of points. But I just think New England's in really, really bad shape. So I'm going to go New Orleans in the under.
Uncle Sam?
I'm going to take New England in this game. Cover. And I'm taking the under. I don't think New England will drop another game at home.
Yeah, but you're thinking of the old New England. This isn't the old New England.
You're erring on the side of history, which is fine. Which is fine if you want to do that.
Bill Belichick will pull something out of his fucking magic bag.
But
can I throw something in here real quick? Real quick. I'm starting to buy into the New Englands in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Yeah, they're going to punch their ticket pretty soon here.
Think about it. If they get their bunghole punched by New Orleans this week, and they're 1-4, and then Bailey Zappi gets to go the rest of the way, their ticket to the Caleb Williams sweepstakes is punched.
Even if it's not Caleb Williams, they're going to take a flyer on a quarterback next year. If it's Michael Penix or Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy or whatever.
Bo Nix is the perfect New England quarterback.
I'm with you guys. I'm with you, Sam. I don't think that there's enough tricks left in the bag for Belichick. It's because there's been a lot of tricks, rabbits pulled out of the hat before. There's been tons over the years, but one of them that's never been pulled out of the hat is quarterback. You can't just pull a quarterback out of the hat unless they go trade for Kirk Cousins or sign Cam Newton again. So I just don't see it happening for the Patriots. That being said, I still don't think the Saints are as good as everyone thinks they are. I just know that Mac Jones' kryptonite is a good defense, and he's just the under I think is very safe in this game because of the Saints' defense. And I like the Saints as well. I like them safely within the field goal to touchdown range. So give me the Saints -1. Give me the Saints completely to win the game, and give me that under. Moving on to Pittsburgh, a game the Steelers really need. At least they need to look good in. Their offense needs to do something in this game. The Ravens are coming to town. They are favored by 4.5 points. The over/under is 38 in that game. Someone in Vegas thinks it's going to be a big defensive game, or that the Steelers just aren't going to score any points. Uncle Sam?
Well, I'm going to take the Steelers to cover in this. I'm going to take them actually to win this game against Baltimore. I know it sounds kind of crazy,
geez.
but I just got a feeling that Mitch Trubisky is going to come and light a fire under the Pittsburgh Steelers, and their defense is going to be good enough to stop Lamar Jackson.
Kenny
this week.
Pickett's playing.
Kenny Pickett has been practicing, and he's planning on playing and getting better every day. Sam?
That was just awful. Give me Baltimore. Give me Baltimore in this game by a whole lot. Like that over under 38. It kind of the thing is Baltimore hasn't been like putting up points at will. I don't really know if they're gonna blow Pittsburgh out of the building, but like there's been again Pittsburgh right now the way that they have looked. There's not much more in Pittsburgh than there is in New England right now, in my opinion. Kenny Pickett's obviously going to play. Kenny Pickett is beat up. They still can't run the ball. They have an offensive coordinator who, if he farts the wrong way, is going to be fired. I'm taking Baltimore in this, and I'm going to have very, very, very hesitantly take the under.
Yeah, I just think that there's two separate stories. I think that obviously all the Pittsburgh issues are one story, but I think the bigger story is I'm still sticking with the Ravens as my pick to win the AFC. I thought they bounced back really nicely last week. They're getting way healthier. Odell is back. Rashad Bateman is back. They're getting a lot of guys back on defense as well, and it's hard to trust, even at home, it's hard to trust Kenny Pickett well injured. So I like the Ravens to safely cover the 4.5, probably win somewhere in the 10-point range. And I also like the under just because I think that's a lot of points for Baltimore to cover on their own, 38, and I just don't see Pittsburgh doing much offensively. Moving on, we are going to Los Angeles. A battle between the last two NFC champions. We have the Eagles coming to L.A., in what will probably feel like a home game for them. The Eagles are favored by 4.5. The over-under is 50. What do you think, Sam?
So obviously Cooper Kupp is expected to play this weekend, and that's great news for the Rams. But Puka has obviously been playing out of his mind. Tutu Atwell has been a big contributor to that offense. They haven't had all too much of. They haven't had all too much opportunities to really get the run going. Kyren Williams had a good game in there. At the end of the day, this is Philadelphia that they're playing, and I think that it's going to take Stafford a week or two to reacclimate to. Okay, I need to get Cooper Kupp involved in this offense, but still spread the ball around. I just don't see the Rams going up against Philadelphia and having all too much success. I was actually surprised that Philly was only favored by 4.5 in this game. I know Philly's not playing up to the caliber they were last year, but I don't see them having much of a problem with the Rams. I'm going to take Philly in this, and that over under a 50. I mean, that's a lot of points to expect against Philly's defense out of the Rams. I'm going to go under in this game, again, hesitantly. But I just don't see the Rams having – I don't see Puka Nacua going up against Philly's defense and having, a 170-yard receiving day. I don't see Kyren Williams being able to run the ball on them at will. I know the Rams did nice against San Francisco. I think that was only a 10-point loss for them. But I think that Philadelphia is going to win this game pretty strongly.
Uncle Sam?
I'm going to take the Eagles to cover and the under.
I like the Eagles to cover as well, but I think this game's going to be close. I think this game's going to be a little bit closer than people think, and I actually do like the over. The Rams have been doing really well scoring points. The Eagles have been doing really poorly at preventing teams from scoring points. The only reason they're winning games is because they're getting timely scores. I do like the over, and I like the Eagles to cover somewhere in the end of the game. Maybe they have the ball and they're driving at some point in the fourth quarter, and they take a little bit more of a lead. They extend their lead. Give me the Eagles to cover the 4.5. Give me the Eagles to win outright, and give me the over. Excuse me. We have another toilet bowl, but this one should be more competitive. I think both of these teams have been better than their record. It is the Cincinnati Bengals, who are -3, headed to Glendale, Arizona to take on the Cardinals, a Cardinals team that has been playing really tough. Over under 44.5. Uncle Sam, what do you think?
I'm going to take, from what I've seen, I'm going to take the Cardinals in the under.
I'm going to piggyback off of that a little bit. Higgins is injured, but Joe Burrow has said this is the best that he has felt. This is the best that he's felt in since his injury, and this is the best that he's felt after a game in particular. And I just think that the Cardinals' defensive front doesn't have what the Titans' defensive front has. And the Bengals know that they really need games like this. This is the most talent-depleted team that they're playing. I love the Cardinals. I love what they've done this year. I love what Dobbs has done. I think they've played very tough. That being said, this is the most talent-depleted team that the Bengals are playing against. And this is if they blow it this week, because I picked the Bengals a lot. If they choke this week, I'm done. I'm done doing it. But I'm going to give the Bengals the benefit of the doubt. I like the under in this one, and I like the Bengals to cover the -3 and to win it outright.
Zolo, me and you are like on an identical page here. Right now, Cincinnati is essentially 31st or 32nd in every offensive category there is. They've looked awful. They've looked horrible. Their offensive line has, their defensive line has. They have not controlled the line of scrimmage in any game they have played, but
nowhere to go but up.
There's nowhere to go but up. And if they're going to do it, like you said, they have to do it against Arizona. If they lose this game this week, I'm prepared to write this year off for Cincinnati.
Enter them into the Caleb Williams. No, I'm kidding.
Give me Cincinnati -3, and I'm going to take the over in this game. If Cincinnati's going to win this game, they've got to get the offense going. Joe Mixon has to look good. He's got to run the ball better. The offensive line has to get it together a little bit. Jamar Chase has to have a big game. A lot of things that are going to equal a lot of points have to work. And at the end of the day, Arizona, even though they're still a weaker team, they've been able to score points. So I'm going to go Cincinnati in the over. But there's an asterisk here. If Cincinnati loses this game, that's it.
We're done. We're both pulling the rug out from under them.
We're done.
Okay, this one I think is actually it's another 1-3 versus 1-3. I think it's a lot better though on paper. It's one of the games I've been most excited about. The narrative's a little different now, but the Jets are going to Denver, and they are getting 2.5 points with an over/under of 43.5. I personally, I'm banking on Zach Wilson doing what he did last week. Mainly because I still think the narrative here is this is the Nathaniel Hackett revenge game, and I think that the Jets are going to be so fired up for this one, and it's going to show that ball. What's going to help Zach Wilson better than playing in altitude? So give me the Jets to cover the 2.5. Give me the Jets to win it outright, obviously, and I like the over. I think Russ is going to do some damage on the other end as well. But they're after Sean Payton's ass. I think they're going to crack Jets D a little bit, but I like the Jets to soundly win this game, and I like the over of this one. Uncle Sam?
I agree. I'm taking the Jets and the over. I think their defense is good enough to keep Russell Wilson at bay.
Yeah, Sam.
Shout out to Arab Fantasy. I'm going to go Amu Bob here for the win. Here's the thing. There's a lot of animosity going into this game, regardless if Aaron Rodgers is playing or not. Zach Wilson had his best game pretty much ever last week. And I don't buy into the Denver thing. Like at the end of the day, they got one big win that they had to come back from 30 points against Chicago. I know I was high on Denver last week, but something for me just feels like this game, the Jets are going to come in and punch them in the mouth. Their defense is going to play really well. And on the other side of that, if Denver pulls this game out, then I have a lot of more faith in them. This Jets team is not as much of a walk in the park as they looked like 2 weeks ago. So I think their defense is going to come in. I don't think Denver's going to be able to run the ball. I don't think Javonte Williams is playing in this game. Like, they're going to give Russell Wilson fits. I don't think he's going to look that great. And the Jets have a chip on their shoulder right now. They want to win games like this because this is a winnable game for them. So give me the Jets, and I'm going to take the under in this.
Gets extra tricky because the Broncos go. I think they go to Kansas City Thursday night next week. Either way, they're playing the Chiefs. I don't know where it is, but moving on. Speaking of Kansas City, they're taking on the 1-3 Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis. Wow,
At 4:30.
Go ahead. What'd you say?
At 4:30.
At 4:25 in Minneapolis. This is a weird number. The Chiefs are only favored by 3.5. Vegas must be really down on all the Chiefs' woes right now. I don't see it. I just think that they haven't been outstanding and they haven't had that complete game outside of Chicago. That being said, there was Jets D last week. That's a good defense. This is Minnesota. Over under 52.5. Kansas City minus 3.5. Go ahead, Sam.
A lot of people are going to win a lot of money on this game. Give me Kansas City minus 3.5 and that over under of 52. I'm going to shock everybody. I'm going to take the over in this game, even though it's a lot of points. Listen, at the end of the day, this is what we know. Kirk Cousins, when he's not at 1 o'clock, is not Kirk Cousins. So, and I agree. I don't understand how you're going to downgrade the Chiefs at the moment. I think that, big deal. It was the Jets defense. And that's part of the reason why I have faith in the Jets this week against Denver. I think Kansas City's I think this one's going to get ugly, and I think it's going to get ugly quick because I am that low on Minnesota. I think Kansas City's going to get close to hitting that the over-under by themselves. I just think this is going to get really, really messy really fast. Give me Kansas City and give me that over.
Uncle Sam.
I agree. I'm going to take Kansas City in the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points put up in this game. I just don't think that Minnesota is good enough to stay tit for tat with Kansas City.
I like the over. I do think one thing Minnesota does somewhat well is they score points. That was a little bit better of a defensive front that they went up against last week, where they only mustered 21 in Carolina. I love their offense at home a little bit more, so I like the over, but I have no issue seeing the Chiefs winning this by 10 points. I don't know. That 3.5 is weird. Vegas must either know something or they just must really hate the Chiefs right now. But I like the Chiefs minus 3.5. I think they cover that soundly. I think they win outright, of course. And give me the over in that one. I like the points here. Moving on to arguably the biggest game on the slate and one of the best, most fun games that I could think of this early in a season. I've never been more excited for a Sunday night game. Dallas is only getting 3.5 in this one with an over-under of 45. So I think Vegas bites really hard on the defense. Everyone's relatively healthy. There's no major injuries. No issues with McCaffrey that we can think of. The Debo and Ayuk thing. Debo's been lackluster in practice this week. He's been super limited, but he always ends up playing. Uncle Sam, this is a big time '90s NFC battle right here. What do you think between Dallas and San Francisco?
Just say it.
I'm going to take Dallas Cowboys in this game.
Oh my God,
at San Francisco.
You're an asshole.
I'm taking the under.
Do you think Brock Purdy's going to throw 3 interceptions?
I think Brock Purdy's going to see pressure that he hasn't seen all year. And once he does, it's over.
Joke. You're a joke.
Sam?
You're a joke.
What's even
Anyways.
Picture with you with the dog father shirt on.
Listen to me. You want to know what I like about Brock Purdy? Even though he is, the starting quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, he's still splitting his rent and living with a roommate and driving an old Toyota Sequoia. So you know what?
That? He lives with one of the offensive linemen because he only makes $850,000 a year.
I'm not surprised he lives with a dude.
And so you know what? I have even that much more respect for Brock Purdy. And just because Uncle Sam is such a hater, a washed-up hater, and just wants to prey on people's downfall, I want to see Brock Purdy win MVP this year. outside of that, listen, I think San Francisco covers in this game handily, and I'm going to take the over, but I really think that this whole thing, the way this game is being spun on us right now, at the end of the day, San Francisco's 4-0. San Francisco doesn't have that blemish that the Cowboys have on their record, where they lost to the Arizona Cardinals and lost in a proper fashion. That's what worries me. I don't think San Francisco makes mistakes, and we know that Dallas does. I mean, at the end of the day, San Francisco's defense capitalizes on every chance they get. Brock Purdy does not make mistakes. He does not let go of the football. Christian McCaffrey does not make mistakes. San Francisco is a team built up of guys who aren't going to make mistakes. And on the opposite end of that, Dallas has a coach that consistently makes mistakes on the biggest stage and a quarterback. Give me San Francisco minus 3.5. Give me some of whatever Uncle Sam is smoking, and give me the over in this game.
Yeah, I like that you brought up the make mistakes thing. Ever since that Super Bowl where Kyle Shanahan choked the second half away in Atlanta, one thing Kyle Shanahan teams do well is they're always well prepared, offensively and defensively. I mean, obviously he lost Bob Saleh, who is a big thing for him, and Mike McDaniel. Those are two tough losses, but his teams are always prepared. So when they lose games, if they lose games, it's typically because the other team is more talent rich, like the Eagles. I like San Francisco here. I think this is going to be the defensive battle that everyone is saying it's going to be. I'm excited to watch these two defenses. I think it's going to be 10-10 at half or something like that. I think it's going to be a really low-scoring affair. I think ultimately what sets San Francisco apart is their run game and their ability to get creative in short yardage situations is going to be great for them. This is going to be a lot of chipping away and not as much ball downfield. That being said, I don't think Dallas is going to win. I think San Francisco not only wins outright, but they cover this pretty soundly. I don't think Dallas is going to win, but I would like to see. This is where you got your shit kicked in last year, Dak Prescott. Your team is arguably better than it was last year, so I would like to see a little more from Dak Prescott. I think this is a big game for him. Not necessarily a coming out party, but it's important. Like, this is the game that puts you on the map and tells us if you are in that class of NFC team. I like San Francisco. I like the under in this one. I believe in the defenses, and I like San Francisco to also cover that minus 3.5. Which takes us, as always, saving the best for last.
Can I preface this real quick here?
Yeah.
I already know. I want you to go to Uncle Sam first on this because I already know what's going to happen.
Uncle Sam. Carolina Panthers. 0-4. The last. Are they the last winless team?
I believe so.
I'm going to take the.
Do you know do you want the numbers? Do you need to know them?
No, I know them.
I got minus 10 or plus 10 for Carolina. Plus 10 for Carolina, over under at 44.
Do it.
I'm going to take the over in this game, and I'm taking the Lions to cover.
Oh, you know what? You just did that because I said what I said.
You did that to piss him off.
Yeah, you just did that to piss me off because you were
covered this game.
There's
a reason for it.
Why?
Because they're at home. They were on the road, I wouldn't have done that.
What happened to the fucking Red Rockets going to come in Ford Field?
Listen, I am a big fucking the Red Rifle, not the Red Rocket. The Red Rifle.
What's the difference?
Same difference. Go ahead. I can't believe
home. They're at home. They're going to be the crowd is going to be absolutely something that Bryce Young hasn't seen since he's been in college. So I'm gonna take Detroit to actually cover this game, just because they're not at Carolina, and the guys that gashed them last year, one of them's not there.
Sam.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Detroit covering in this game. I think the biggest thing for me here is Detroit's defense, and Carolina's offense has shown sparks at times, but it's not it's not really up to caliber that Detroit's defense is. I think Detroit will control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think Jared Goff, outside of that one game where he threw a couple interceptions, he hasn't really made mistakes. I think that the Lions will win this game pretty easily, just because I don't think Carolina will be able to put up any points against Detroit's defense at the moment. And I mean, Carolina better be ready for the David Montgomery show. And I think that if we're going to see Gibbs start to get utilized, I know I said this last week, but they've got to get him utilized a lot more. I think Carolina's the perfect team to do it against. You got J-Mo coming back. I think J-Mo will at least get out there for a couple of plays. I don't expect much, but I think he'll be out there a little bit. And Carolina's going to have to respect him when he's on the field. So I think that opens things up a little bit more. I think Detroit wins this game pretty handily. I think I'm going to take the under here just because I really am confident in this Detroit defense. I don't think Carolina's going to be able to do much. It's going to be Detroit -10 in the under.
So let me preface my pick by saying that's a big number, -10. That's a tough one to cover. I don't think I've ever seen the Lions favored by 10, but it's been a while. And it moved, of course. It started at, I think, -7.5, and it moved to -8.5. It's now at -10. That's a lot of points, but I'm going to give the Lions the benefit of the doubt in covering the 10 points. And it's because they're 3-1. They've covered in 3 out of the 4 games. They would have covered the last one had they scored that touchdown in overtime, but they've covered these numbers in most of the games. And I just think that there's a lot going for the Lions right now. They know they need this one going into that really big stretch at Tampa, at Baltimore. Those are 2 tough games coming, so they need this one pretty bad. And I don't know. So if you ask the Lions team which game they want to avenge most from last year, the talk in the locker room, it actually wasn't Seattle. It was this game. This is the game that pissed them off. This left a really bad taste in their mouth. This cost them the playoffs. I think they're going to try and make a statement. Defensively, there's a lot going for them. They're getting healthier. Emmanuel Mosley's coming back. You're probably going to see Julian Okwara. There's a rumor. And then offensively, same drill. The offensive line's a lot healthier. There's issues with Brian Branch. It doesn't seem like he's going to play. Amon-Ra still hasn't practiced, but he's worked really hard off to the side in these practices. I think he does end up playing. The Lions just have too much juju going for them. I like the under because Lions' offense has sputtered a little bit over the last couple weeks. Jared Goff only has 1 touchdown pass, I think, in the last 2 weeks. In fact, in week 1, he only had 1 as well. So give me the Lions to cover. But I'm looking for more. I'm looking for a good performance all around. I'm hoping this is their most complete game of the year. And that -10 scares me. I wouldn't fault anyone for taking the points with the Panthers. But I think the Lions just have too much going for them going into those next 2 games. And I like the under, like I said, that 44. I don't know if the Panthers are going to score enough points on Lions defense, but look for Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen has historically gashed the Lions. He's done it for years. And I think he's going to be a nice safety valve, especially with Mosley coming back, especially without Brian Branch tailing him. Look out for Adam Thielen this weekend. That's it. We don't want to pick Monday, right? Monday is it's not great. It's Packers at Raiders. It's a good old fashioned battle. We could save that, right, for this Monday. You gonna be back? Should be back. Yep. What are you doing up there? Do you have any plans? Are you going to go butt chug vodka tonic at the Pink Pony? Is that what it's called? The Rum Runners at the Pink Pony. At the Pink Pony. No, so it's about 42 degrees here right now and raining. So what do you do there when it's 42 and raining in October? Well, it seems like today is going to be a day of freezing my ass off cleaning porch furniture. Okay. Is there any cleaning porch furniture, he said. Anyway. Is there any leisure planned? Is leisure just sitting by the fire, or do you light a fire up there? So there is we do the occasional bonfire. But my leisure is going to be Sunday. I am going to sit in a recliner all day, and I am going to watch Red Zone
uninterrupted, with a window cracked and a nice cool breeze coming in. And that's about it. I mean, you know what? There's this place in town called the Chuck Wagon. It's a top 5 burger of my life for me. So there might be a bike ride into town later on to grab a Chuck burger. Other than that, there's not much. There's not much. It's going to be a lot of manual labor, which I know Bruce knows nothing about, and then sitting and watching football.
I have a couple questions. Question 1, over your right shoulder, is that Tiger Stadium, and over your left shoulder, is that Maglio hitting the walk-off?
So, no, this is Al Kaline homering in the 68 World Series. That's Comerica Park blueprint. And,
Wow.
hold
for
on.
2. 0 for 2.
Real quick, for Uncle Sam here. For Uncle Sam.
It's a shame that the people can't see this, you know.
Oh, yeah, the GOAT, Miguel Cabrera.
Whatever.
The absolute GOAT. Don't act like you know how to speak Spanish over there.
I'm sorry?
No, you're supposed to say, comprende?
Oh, fuck. Really, dude?
Um,
Anyway, listen, we all know that thing of manual labor that you spoke of is fucking not real. Okay? That would kill you if you had to do that. In fact, I don't even see you cleaning that furniture. I'm sure your mom's out there right now, asses and elbows, with a bucket of bleach, doing it herself.
No, you know what? I was the first one awake here today, so.
well, yeah, it says 7 a.m.
You
call time.
manual labor doesn't add up ever.
I have a couple more questions. I have questions for both of you. First for you, Sam. Number 1, what does Elizabeth do when she's up there?
Want to kill herself?
Oh no, I mean we're in the same. We love it up here because, like, on a day like today where it's raining and cold, you will not see another human being all day unless you want to, which is nice. So yeah, I mean, right.
Shit scrapers scraping the concrete right now, or
Exactly.
the asphalt?
This time of year, you just sit all day, you curl up with a nice blanket, put something good on. You know, I might get some diners driving, some dives going after this. Take a bath later on, just, you know, full relaxation mode.
You ever watch Guys Grocery Games?
Love Guys Grocery Games.
That's a great
Love
one
it.
too. Sarah and I have
Absolutely love it. And you know what? Bobby's Triple Threat now.
Yep.
That's another one that really gets the blood flowing.
Question 3, how long does it take you to get into town?
Depends. So they lifted the electric bike ban. So if I get to use the we only have 2 electric bikes here, one for mom and one for dad. So if they're not going into town and you can utilize the electric bike, you can do it in 10 minutes or less because you're going like 22 miles an hour all the way in. If you have to pedal your ass into town, it's usually like a 20-minute ride.
Uncle Sam, what do you like doing when you're up there?
I don't like Mackinac.
He's
I've
been here
been there
one
in
time and he
years.
was sweaty the entire
I
time.
love your guys' crib, but outside that, dude, there's nothing to do there.
My family has
There's
a place.
nothing to do there.
My family has a place in Harbor Springs, Sam, and I never go there, because it's not in town. It's in the hills, so like it's in Hamlet Village. So Nubs is right behind it. And
Yeah.
Nubs?
I don't Nubs Knob. And
What is
Boyne is across the street. Nubs Knob is arguably the best skiing, snowboarding in the state. It's
I thought it
considered
was
the best
something
spot.
different, but anyway, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, it's not what you think it is. I just never go there because they're not on the water, so it's not as enticing. So we have to like trek to the water. You have to trek to downtown Harbor Springs. You have to trek to Walloon. You got to trek to Charlevoix. You got to trek to Petoskey. And I haven't been to Mackinac in years. And one of these summers, maybe a 4th of July, I would love to come and check out what you guys have going up. I just want to go to Mackinac for the day because I haven't been there since like the early 2000s. And
4th of July.
Bike it.
4th of July up here is
Zoo.
I mean, it's a complete zoo. You've got little kids flying off bikes. It's like being in Times Square. There's people from every walk of life, and it gets kind of disgusting. But at the same time, I've been to a lot of places on the 4th of July, and there's just nowhere has the same feel as here. It's just fabulous.
You need to get out in the woods with Botcher up there and kill something.
There's nothing here to kill, dude. What are you gonna do? Kill a
Bullshit.
fucking?
There's always something to kill.
I think you got to go a little further south or a little further north to go kill up there. If my math.
I
is
might
correct.
I might have to cut down a few trees today too. So
Yeah,
ever
we
go
know
through
you're
the
not
UP?
doing that.
You-
need to stop.
You
it.
ever go up to you ever go up to Marqueef for pictured rocks or
I'm a big
Or-
I'm a
or
big
Sioux?
UP guy.
What
I'm a
do you say?
huge UP. I'm a huge UP guy. I love Sault Ste. Marie. I like Tequamanon. You up towards Whitefish Point, Copper Harbor situation. Beautiful country up there.
Don't get your hands dirty.
Uncle Sam? You got any big plans this weekend?
Yeah, I'm working.
As always, I'm gonna watch college football. This is the third show in a row we haven't talked about college football. I'm excited to see Michigan. I think they're on fire. There's some big games this weekend. The Red River rivalry, one of the top 5 college football rivalry, is tomorrow at noon, and it's arguably the best Texas team since 2009 has taken on a undefeated and pretty stout Oklahoma team. Some
That
people are
defense
saying
is a lot better than people give him credit to be.
some people, Brett Venables was Clemson's defensive coordinator. He's now Oklahoma's head coach, and
Yep.
Clemson's defense is taking a hit for it. Some people are saying that Texas is the only team that can challenge Michigan in the country right now after Georgia's bed shitting last week. So I'm excited to see Texas get pushed a little bit.
Throw the blanket on Georgia.
I wouldn't throw the blanket on Georgia either. What I like about Texas is I buy into the narrative that the most experienced quarterback has the best say in the college football playoff, and there's no more experienced quarterback than J.J. McCarthy, but Quinn Ewers at Texas is pretty good, and he's not a first-year starter, and he's having an outstanding year, so I'm excited to watch some college football. And then I'm going to
Doesn't
the football
Michigan
game
have a
on
night
Sunday.
game tomorrow?
Georgia hasn't shown it yet, but their defense is still probably one of the best in the country. They just haven't shown it yet.
They're
But you're going to
talented.
get one of those games where they're just absolutely going to ass punch somebody, and it's coming soon.
Georgia's talented, but of course, Michigan hasn't had the schedule. Oh, by the way, the people that have been complaining about Michigan's schedule next year, they have Oregon, they have Washington, they have USC,
time.
they have Ohio State, and they have Fresno State, who's one of their non-conference games. Oh, and guess who else Michigan plays at the Big House next year? Texas.
That's good.
Michigan has
About
the
time
hardest
they've stepped
schedule.
up and got a real
It's
schedule.
not about time. It's just every other year
No,
the
it's about
schedule.
time.
Well, no,
Their
they've been,
non-conference schedules are garbage every year.
it hasn't
Every
been though
year.
since Notre Dame dropped them and Washington dropped them from the
listen,
pandemic.
When is the last non-conference game that you've seen Michigan play
So hold on.
that was against a very good team?
They've had these teams scheduled, but they've dropped them. That's what's been happening. That because of the pandemic and all these things.
Oh,
And Notre Dame, because they wanted to do their ACC thing, Notre Dame dropped Michigan. Michigan
Yeah.
played Notre Dame every year. So if Ohio State's toughest game is Notre Dame, Michigan always played Notre Dame until Notre Dame said, we don't
in
want to
the
play
past-
you anymore.
All right, we won't even go back
Okay,
that far.
fair.
The past 5 years, who have they played that's
No,
been
it's
relevant?
it's the past 2 years.
5 years.
And agreed. That being said, has it mattered? Michigan's gone to the playoff both of those
Doesn't
years. and they
matter.
beat
It
Ohio
doesn't
State.
matter when you go there and you get pummeled.
But they're
You got ass punched
but
by the
all of
second
their
best team in the
goals
country.
without a good non-conference schedule, all of their goals have gotten
We'll
accomplished
see.
last
See
year.
what happens. I don't.
And they still
Listen,
have to play. They still have to play at Penn State this year, which is a top 5 team in the country, and they have to play Ohio State, which is the top 5 team in the country.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter if their non-conference schedule isn't
Well,
great.
I
if their
don't
regular
think they should
conference
be
schedule is one of
ranked
the
as
best in the
high as
country.
they are when you play a cupcake non-conference schedule.
It-
It's my opinion. Hey, you know,
Hey, Alabama made a living off of that every year.
Alabama's been playing fucking Bug Tussle State every year
And
for
same
it
the
with
doesn't matter
Georgia.
because when you play an SEC schedule,
But Michigan's
it's
in
a
the
lot
hardest
harder than
division
that.
in college football.
listen, the Big Ten's a joke. You
It's
know
n-
that.
it's
Outside Ohio State and Michigan, it's garbage.
Penn State. It has
Garbage.
3 guys that could get drafted in the top
Garbage.
10 this year.
Outside Ohio State and Michigan, it's garbage.
Penn State.
Penn State.
Zolo's
Penn
finally
Penn
feeling
State
what I
hasn't been
feel
good since
now.
the 80s.
That's like saying that Johnny Manziel beating Alabama doesn't count. You know, like it's there's
I
still.
never said that didn't count. I thought
I'm just saying
I
there's
watched them
teams.
beat LSU too.
The Big Ten West. Excuse me. The Big Ten East is just as tough as the SEC West. And
I don't
anyone.
think so.
I mean,
I
look at
don't
the rankings. There's 3 teams in the top 5.
I don't look at the rankings because the guys that make the rankings are full of shit.
And last year, the Big Ten, the last 2
Yeah.
years, oh, not the last 2 years, but last year,
What?
the Big Ten East got 2 teams into the college football playoff, in Michigan and Ohio State.
Last year, Ohio State should never have been there.
Hey,
Period.
they almost
They
were
got
a play
lucky
away.
that USC lost. They got lucky. Yeah, listen to me. The Big Ten, you cannot compare the Big Ten with the SEC. You can't.
Top to
It's
bottom,
not even fucking close.
top to bottom, no. But
Because
the
you could
Big
take the
Ten
garbage
East,
teams in the SEC, have them come up here and play Northwestern and play fucking Minnesota.
Okay,
and play
I agree.
Nebraska.
I agree
and they
top
would
to
ass
bottom.
hammer 'em.
I agree top to bottom. But the Big Ten East, and then on top of that, Maryland is 5-0 right now, and they play
Fuck,
teams really
they've been
tough.
living on a prayer.
That's fine.
They're the worst 5-0 team in the nation.
Totally. I don't know about that.
They're
Totally.
the worst 5-0 team in the nation.
Totally fine. But there's
Oh,
4 5-0 teams in one division in college football, and that's the Big Ten East. The SEC
And
can't say that.
Tallulah or whatever his fucking name is not his brother. Okay?
That's two of his
Believe
brothers, Sam.
He's going to get ass raped
Who was
before the end of this year.
On that note, we're talking college football next week just because I want to make Uncle Sam turn red, and we've been
dude,
putting it
you're
off for
such
too
a
long.
hater. You're just such a hater, dude.
What? Why? Because I said the Big Ten ain't as good as the SEC? Stop. Everybody knows. Anybody who
Anyways.
knows football knows that.
We
Come on.
think that you
Stop.
should like and we think that you should subscribe to us on all of the channels. That includes X or Twitter, whatever you're calling it, at Tipballs, Instagram at Tipballs, and of course YouTube. We've seen the followers go up on YouTube. We appreciate that. We appreciate the engagement. We appreciate Arab Fantasy and everyone else that comments on the chat. What am I missing? Oh, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I know my people listen to Apple Podcasts. Tipballs. We appreciate it. We're trying to do some fun things here. We're hoping that this football season persists in the way that we're anticipating it to. We're excited. Do you guys have anything else to say? Anything to add?
No, thanks everybody for listening. You're gonna coming back Monday, better than ever.
Coming back Monday better than ever. We'll see you Monday. God bless. Have a good weekend.